Thank you. And can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will begin with our district updates. Dr. Roberts.
The personnel changes listed. We are fully staffed, and we have a potential social worker interview process coming in. But other than that, the schools are fully staffed. These changes, although they look a lot, they go all the way back into May. So this was our first really catch up with Terry being able to process staff in and out. So it is a good 3 months of work all into one report.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The Charter Seed Growth Foundation.
So I wanted to provide you guys with a little update on where we're at with our Charter Seed growth and that process, which is, again, an amazing opportunity for us. So we are the first school the corporation has funded in Arkansas, and the onboarding has begun. And the first part is we have a person that's our direct contact that has as many calls that I want to have with them as far as what needs, what we have, who can they connect us with. They've given us a platform, it's called Seminar. And a seminar is new to them as an organization, but it is a wealth of connections and networks. So depending on what area you are interested in or want to know more about or want connections within, you go to it and then it branches off into all these different charter schools or charter leaders or organizations that help support them. So it's everywhere from recruitment to budget to finance to operations to transportation, all the areas. And it's an amazing network of how they facilitate that. So you can log in and have a one-on-one with someone. You can sign up for a webinar or a master class, and then you have individual cohort groups that you can keep an ongoing conversation about. This is what we're doing with recruitment. This is happening in October, or all those kind of things. In addition, they've asked us to keep them updated on anything that we've got going on. Because in addition to what we've already got as far as support, they have other funders that come in and are looking for certain other components. So they're also going to share our name out if we have a need for a structural component in our school we're trying to figure out how to pay for. So that the resources are pretty amazing. At the same time, they've given us our first link in to our end of submitting all the data. So there's a lot of data that we submit to them. It goes back about 3 years, but it's all of our discipline, it's our attendance, our academic scores, it's all the things that they're using to track our metrics. And what is mindful for us is to go back and look at it and work together as a team. So we've got a team of about 7 people right now. The administrators, Pam, our registrar, Jamie Dale, who's helping us do data assessment, we're all coming together and putting all this data that they'll kind of keep and preview and we'll use continually. So we update throughout the 3 years. They measure and monitor it. So it's an ongoing process, but it started and it's very exciting. And it's really nice to see the cohort that we're in and how different everybody is. And I think the strengths of everyone coming together is going to continue to be exceptional. So my goal with you is to share out the things that we learn, the experiences that we have, the people that we're introduced to, and all the things that are going to help us continue to get streamlined and better and things like that. Last year, I believe it was, we participated in Bellwether. Do you remember me telling you about that? So Bellwether is a part of this organization. So the fact that we've already been in Bellwether reached out to us and said, oh, congratulations, you are in this now. So it's just a continued layer of web of resources and network. And it's really fascinating and that they do this work nationwide. Then I wanted to also move on to storm repair. So since we last met, we've been continuing to update and make all the corrections that we needed. Our goal was to have it done before school started, and it just was not possible. We tried to do as much as we could, and we were down to, asphalt and striping parking lots right during open house or back to school and all those things. But we're getting closer and closer to things being done. We still need 2 awnings at the elementary. We still need, I'm trying to think. I think the HVACs are on at elementary. We've got some door issues here that weren't necessarily part of the storm damage, but we're going to able to use a little bit of some of the funds that we had to pay for that. We've got a door that's still missing at the elementary. It's right at the end where we got that sheet of plywood, but the parts have been on back order. So as soon as those parts come in, we can finalize that door. So we're in much better shape than we thought we would be. Not perfect when school started, but we're getting there. And Ricky has done a really good job trying to pay attention to all the variables in addition to school starting and needing to do all the other work. And Susan's doing a really good job tracking the invoices, getting them sent to insurance or reimbursement, and managing the payouts on all of that. So we're continuing to advance with that, and we'll be done pretty soon. For those of you that didn't see my great news information, we acquired the gallery down on First Street, and we're really excited about that opportunity. Through the support of the foundation, they're able to pay half, and that rent is utilities included. We've also gotten great support from the Rogers Lowell Chamber. They're going to help us do a ribbon cutting on the 11th, help us PR that. Aaron and I and Katie Bowis are really trying to manage that gallery space in a way that our number one priority is getting students to have that professional exhibition space, professional performance space. Culinary is going to come in and sell some of their things and provide that. So I found out today we have to apply for a business license. So we'll navigate that just for the part of selling things. Some of the kids are going to make art to sell, and we're going to really try to be involved in the community at downtown in a way that we just support our kids stronger than we have been able to before. Our opening is on the 12th, which coincides with the first September Art on the Bricks. And then that weekend, that Friday and Saturday, is the Rogers Community kind of showcase, which will be in open gallery at that time. So we're very excited about the opportunity. The art teachers we took them down when we had our back to school event, with the staff, back to school PD. We walked down and began to envision what this space would look like for all the kids. How can we get them to experience what that looks like? And how can we get them sort of on that college and career track of being in professional space? And so we're excited. And then there's a new gelato place opening up, which we hope will call us more attention to our business. And we're very excited. And so we hope to see all of you guys at the gallery opening, because I'm really excited about that. And those are my biggest updates.
Okay, I see.
I'm sorry, there was also the annual budget.
Oh,
I added it with, Renee gave it to me.
okay. So we're holding off on that because we don't have a quorum. Okay, so if we'll hold on the budget until we get a quorum, which is what we have to approve for this year.
Okay. I see we have one public comment. Are they here? Susan is planning to be in person, not online or anything. Okay. Well, we will keep going. I move to go into executive session.
Okay.
Can I have a second?
Second. Yeah.
you. Welcome back from executive session. Thank you all for your patience. Let the record reflect that Marissa Roberts has joined. So can we do the annual budget voting?
Yes.
And then we can proceed with the rest of the consent agenda.
So, you have been presented with our operating budget for this year. Renee shared this with Adrienne. She had no issues. And, so your vote to approve our operating budget, is what we need for tonight. And then we'll have Cynthia sign it as vice president. If there are any questions, let me know.
I move that we present the operating budget as presented. We approve the operating budget as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? You guys have it. Thank you. Okay, moving on to our consent agenda. We have our minutes from the June 11th board meeting. Are there any changes or updates to the minutes? Can I have a motion to approve our consent agenda minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. That was the budget. Were there anything with the financials or enrollment report that covered in particular?
No, we are continuing to level out our enrollment with our drops and enrollments. It's coming in and out, and we'll continue to do that probably until the middle of September, just trying to level things out. So the update is where we were at last week. And yeah, that is. I can't find it. You can I see yours?
It's page 76.
So currently we're at 952. So we're a little bit lower than we were in June. With 525 at elementary and 427 at high school.
We know those numbers will continue to fluctuate for a little bit.
Yes.
I'll take a point of liberty and give a shout out to the high school team. I had a parent unsolicited come and tell me that their child had transferred to the district and was just having an amazing time here. So congratulations to you all. Thank you. We'll move to new business, our disconnect to reconnect. I know lots of parents and families interested in this.
So to get us started with this, we're going to have our counselors come up and just talk about kind of their perspective on where we have been in the past and the move this effort is making right now.
Thanks for having us. We have a presentation type with information with some stats and things, but so this is just some smartphone mental health data that Ms. Miller and I kind of put together and have the opportunity to talk about. Do I make it go? I'm pushing.
You should just be able to hit the next button. Is it not going? I think that's what she did.
So some of this stems from some different, thank you, some different websites and data points that Ms. Miller and I have looked at. And then some of it stems from a really, really great book, The Anxious Generation. You see some heads nodding. That is absolutely astounding. And just really like puts into perspective how big of a crisis our students, adolescents, are in with the inception of smartphones. And kind of one of the things I took away from the book and listening to it and things was that one of the things stated was that with the inception of smartphones, it is said that we are now forever elsewhere. And we can all be right here and be a million different places. And it is so true. And to see the students in that mindset and have that mindset is really mind-boggling sometimes. This is just a picture of the book. It's amazing. I mean, if I could talk about it, but so some of the data that we came up with and found are that children from the age of 8 to 10 spend about 6 hours a day in front of a screen. And so that's a lot by the time you get to the end of the week. Children 11 to 14 spend about 9 hours a day on screens. And if you think about it, that is more than a work day is supposed to be. So that's something. Teenagers ages 15 to 18 have the average screen time of about 7.5 hours on screens. And not that there's a recommendation, but the recommendation is no more than 2 hours total of sedentary recreational screen time for that age group. The younger age groups are much lower. And then about half of US teens spend an average of 7 hours and 22 minutes a day on screens. And if we think about our workday, that is probably about what we have in a workday minus, a quick lunch, which is, again, I just keep saying it, astounding. Some of the following have been growing trends in students and kind of like new words even, and new descriptions of what is happening. And attention fragmentation is the lack of ability to stay on task. We see a decrease in attention spans, and we already know our students' attention spans are very, very small and short. Distractions through continual phone notifications. I wish I had put the picture in here, but there's a data that a picture of just a tally mark of a teacher who just kind of took down tally marks for every time the phone ding in her classroom, and it is, in the hundreds. And that was the one short period. Unmonitored and unrestricted information delivered during the school day, and that could be anything to anything and everything in between. There's a decline in social skills. There's an increase in cyberbullying just because it's so much easier and 24/7. Disassociation, we've seen it where students are just in tears, devastated in the floor, crying because someone destroyed their Fortnite castle. Fortnite, Minecraft, sorry.
Maybe, yeah.
Minecraft, I was like, that doesn't sound
Yeah,
right.
so we had a
Yes.
situation where a child was devastated because he had built a city in Minecraft, and this is, of course, a digital imaginary city, but he felt like it was very real to him, and it impacted his ability to learn because he was so upset about this imaginary city.
Anxiety, depression, and mental crises stemming from text messages and social media posts during the school day are just distracting our students and again, a growing trend. The decrease of the attention span and
So I thought this was really telling, and this fact comes from the American Psychology Association. Speaking of attention defragmentation, it has gone from, so this would be like a person or a student is working maybe like on a Google Doc, and then they also have their phone. So in 2002, they could focus for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. In 2012, that had decreased to 75 seconds. In 2021, it is 47 seconds. So that's a 47-second attention span. And that was in 2021, so it may even be less now.
and that's their opportunity to learn and to gather information.
And I thought the loss of identity was also really powerful because they are in these communities that they never meet their friends face to face. They never have a conversation where they actually speak to each other. So they're losing their identity, they're losing their community, they're losing, and those are imperative to people in general.
There's an increase in cyberbullying. The little girl there in the cartoon has not only a laptop, but a tablet and a cell phone, and just the words, that are said back and forth or typed back and forth. It's just compounded with cyberbullying. And then cyberbullying in 2022, there was a study done that the National Institute of Health found that experiencing cyberbullying increased the risk of thoughts of suicide and attempts independent of in-person bullying. And so we already know just from our stats and things in schools that bullying face-to-face has increased, and it's an issue and a problem. And then to compound it with cyberbullying and online bullying and social medias and things like that. And suicide is the second leading cause of death to young adults in the United States, and that was a research from 2022, and it's second only to accidents, and that's car accidents, drownings, accidental drownings, things like that, which is really heart-wrenching. And then you'll see in the following graphs that you'll see the rise in feeling lonely, anxiety, daily time with friends, decline, suicides increase, major depression, and emergency visits for self-harm have increased dramatically. And most of this data is from around 2010 to 2015. And you'll see in the graphs that the gray bar is intended to represent that period of time. And it's no coincidence that cell phones were introduced to the public in the United States as just commonplace in about 2010. And in the year 2010, I found this to be, again, just really interesting. And that there were approximately 300 million smartphones sold in the United States. And in 2011, it increased to 472 million. In 2012, it increased to 681 million. And in that should be 2023, I'm sorry. It catapulted to almost 970 million. And in those, or no, I'm sorry, it is 2023. Sorry, during that time period. And that is, in those pivotal, 4 pivotal years, that's an increase of 350% of just smartphones. And of course, most of those are going towards adolescents. And I can't imagine what the number is now in 2024. And those, again, are just in those 4 years with that sort of increase. Here is a graph, again, with the gray part being the introduction of cell phones being just commonplace and mostly in adolescence. Before that time period, not a lot of students that age group had cell phones, and then they weren't smartphones. So it's not only just, a flip phone or a cricket phone or whatever, it's the smartphones that have all the apps and the social medias and the internet that they now have access to. So it's just a general gradual rise in the students often feeling lonely. The daily time with friends by age group just plummets, and unfortunately it continues to plummet. Even in, I think 2019, 2020 was the last data that this graph has, that these graphs show. Suicide rates for younger adolescents have risen drastically. A 91% increase since 2010, and that's in 2020 for boys, and a 167% increase since 2010 for adolescent girls. This just shows the anxiety treated and reported for those age groups. Again, just astronomical increase. The age of 50 plus did not increase. That was about it, but the others raised about 140% for young adults. The emergency room visits for self-harm in girls has risen 188% since 2010. For boys, it's risen some, not 188%, but 48%, which is still a giant leap. Major depression among teens that have been reported or treated has increased 145% since 2010 for girls and 161% since 2010 for boys. And so depression for boys is outnumbering girls at this point. And then
So this is our data that's specific to us. Last year, as Ms. Foster and I were sort of going through our documentation forms from counselor office visits, and you can see that over half of the visits stemmed from one of these things that stemmed from a phone. So it could be a text message from a peer, text message from a boyfriend or girlfriend, text message from a guardian, and these two are surprising, but they happened constantly. Like a parent would text and it would upset the child, and the parent knows that they're in class. Repeated phone calls from a guardian, and the student would say, I'm gonna get in trouble if I don't answer the phone. Upsetting news learned through a family group text, upsetting news learned through a peer group text, an upsetting social media post, being bullied in a group text, a friend threatening suicide in a social media post, a friend threatening self-harm in a social media post. And these are all specific instances that we dealt with more than once. And then about 25% of these visits actually resulted in a student having to go for an assessment at Springwoods. And then that might result in a hospitalization. So, and one thing that I did not put on there, which I should have, but it only happened twice, is a student got a text from a friend who was at a different school, and the friend was threatening suicide. So at that point, we have to try to track down the counselor, the principal, whoever we can reach at a totally different school, to get someone that, you know, can get eyes on this child and get them the help that they need. So it's not, I mean, it's just huge. It's just a huge problem.
And the book talks a lot about like what happened to cause this, and there was a drastic decline in play-based childhood, which we probably all know. Our kids don't like to go outside and play. They don't like to go outside, or they don't go outside and play with other kids. A dramatic decline in friends meeting up every day. There was a decline in daily face-to-face interactions with friends and family, sitting down to dinner or having, Sunday dinner at grandma's or wherever and whatever. And then the rise in phone-based childhood started at that time, about 2010. By 2015, 1 in 5 American girls use social media more than 40 hours a week. That is a full-time job. I mean, that is a full-time job. And in 2023, more than 46% of teens report being online almost all of the time, which is more than a full-time job. And then I just found this interesting, that childhood transformed into something unrecognizable at that time. And this is from the book, The Anxious Generation. And it has caused an epidemic of mental illness among our youth. And that is just cannot be said enough. And then what do we do? I mean, our connect with your creativity, and we are proud to be an unplug to learn school, and disconnect to reconnect is our first grasp at this. I think that even in looking, I had a couple friends, a couple different places in a couple different states say, oh yeah, I think our schools around here are trying that too. But you cannot find data. It is such a new concept, such a new program, that you can't find data on how it shifts. And so we're looking forward to presenting data on how it shifts that, and even with our data with our students, changing that. So we appreciate the unplug to learn and the disconnect and reconnect type of environment that we are coming into. So, and that's all. Do you guys have any questions or anything? Thank you.
so much.
Next, we'll bring up the principals. We're going to give you a brief summary on our school improvement update.
Are you getting my slides, Michael? So I'll tell you just about the beginning of our school year. We've had a great beginning. We have some really fantastic new members of our team. So if you haven't had a chance to meet them, we have some great new people joining our already amazing team. And we've gotten some things rolling. We've gotten some routines put down. Our car line is 35 minutes. So that has improved, which people like to, we definitely are timing our car line on the daily. Okay, so for school improvement plan update, ours has changed just a little bit because we're no longer using iReady, and also we have Atlas data now. Well, we don't have the Atlas data. We hopefully will have Atlas data soon. But we're hoping and working towards having 70% of our students meet or exceed their expected growth in literacy, 60% meeting or exceeding the expected growth in math. And we're wanting to increase ready or above in both by 5%, which matches our Charter Seed Growth Fund goals. And our Atlas testing data, we do not know how we did this last year because it will not be ready until late fall. We're not sure, September, October, but when we have that, we'll definitely be going through it. Some of the things that we're doing to address those goals are we already have completed one Tier 1 instruction professional development in August. We also have planned times to work on Tier 1 instruction in our faculty meetings and then other professional development times. We are working with the BX3 team that the high school worked with last year. We've joined the group, and we're doing our positive behavior intervention support intervention system, which should help our students spend more time in the classroom and less time with us in the office, having to intervene, and with teachers having to intervene and stop class time to manage behaviors. We added something called design time. I think I might have spoken about it in June, but it's a weekly time for our grade level teams to meet either with our Artful Learning coordinator. It's a bi-weekly, and then the other weeks meet with our special services team. So that includes our special education team, our Charis gifted team, our ELD teacher for language learners, and then anyone else that they need extra support from. It's a time for them outside of their regular planning time and outside of their PLC time to just focus on supporting students. We have made a big concerted effort to make sure that every single one of our teachers is signed up for a coaching cycle with our academic coach so that they can improve the things that they want to work on and improve in their teaching. We have our PLCs weekly. We have our walkthroughs scheduled. We have, Dr. McGar and I have worked on getting everything organized, what we want to be looking for in classrooms. And then also we've aligned that with our instructional facilitator or academic coach so that we're looking for similar things. We have planned instructional rounds for the year, which is where teachers are observing each other and talking about what they're seeing in each other's classrooms, because our teachers don't have that opportunity very much. And we're really working to get that to become a normal way of doing things at our school. We also have Artful Learning planning time. We scheduled a lot during PD in June and August because our teachers are writing 2 units and revising a third. So that will be 75% of their school year will be Artful Learning units, and that takes a whole lot of planning. And we've given them quite a bit of Artful Learning planning time, but they also have that built in throughout the school year so that we can make sure that all of our content standards are met and our goals are met during that time. We also have been working with our dyslexia team, reading intervention, sped speech, OTPT, ELD, small group team, and our full team to everybody work together so that we're not trying to pull kids at the same time. We're not pulling kids out of any core instruction because that really needs to be in addition to what they're already getting. So we've been working hard on scheduling. Another one of our school improvement plan goals is the arts integration. We want for them to experience rigorous and integrated arts experiences in all of their classes. So like I already talked about, we have design time that's going to make sure that our teachers are able to plan with support. So they're not just having to plan this arts integration by themselves. Our Artful Learning units getting up and going. Our arts-based skills and strategies are already being used regularly. We even had, we've had some arts-based skills and strategies used in PE, used in every one of our core classes, used in all of our arts classes. And we have arts integration PGP for every single staff. So one of their professional growth plan goals is to have, I let them pick because everyone's at a different part in the journey. Some of our new teachers are just starting to figure out what this is. And then some of the rest of them are working on more advanced arts integration goals. We also had a goal that all of our students would experience at least one VAPA class daily on a 5-day rotation. And then we changed it a little bit because this year we're back to students in 5th and 6th grade choosing some electives, and they'll have 75 minutes daily of their chosen arts classes. And this is our arts programming. I believe I showed this in June, but K3, they're rotating through. 4th grade is also rotating through, but the change for them is they do have an additional rotation of piano that is being taught by Miss Cathcart-Siebert from the high school. She comes over to our building half a day. And it is also our year that they will be, their goal is to have big performances. So K3, we're wanting them to have little small presentations of their skills, but our K through 3s probably aren't going to be doing some big play. But what we want is for 4th grade to be that year that we can look forward to. We did receive a grant to get Lion King kids. And so they're already talking about and figuring out how they're going to do that huge presentation in May with every single kid in 4th grade participating. And they also have plans for a big Veterans Day presentation this year. For 5th and 6th grade, we want for them to be doing content performances. So since they have an elective, since they're getting to choose, then we want for them to do some performances within that, that art. Right now, they are rotating through we want them to have experience with each one, because in the past when they chose, they would pick it in the summer and then they would just kind of start that way at the beginning of the year. But we have so many new students coming in that we want for them to kind of experience everything. And most of the teachers here, they did not have last year. So Miss Kessler was at the high school last year, so our students have not had Miss Kessler for dance. Miss Vivian Pitts is an amazing visual arts teacher that is new to us. Miss Jules Taylor is someone who has taught some theater classes for students at school and intersessions and after school, but she is with us daily now. And then Miss Cathcart-Siebert is teaching choir with some percussion in there as well. And then we have East again. So we have them rotating, and then they're going to pick right before Labor Day, and we will place them. And then they're also going to have another opportunity at the beginning of the second semester to rotate again, because sometimes they want to change, sometimes they don't, but we want them to experience everything one more time and then choose again, because we don't want them to feel like they're stuck in one art, and we want them to get to experience as many as they want to. But we also want to give them the opportunity, if they want to keep doing one for the entire year, or two different ones for the entire year, they have that opportunity to continue as well. So for engagement, we are going to try something a little new this year. The main things that we're already doing to improve academic performance, we believe will improve engagement, because artful learning, our kids are so excited about the different units and the different arts-based skills and strategies that they get to participate in. So they're very engaged. We also are making sure, like I already talked about, to improve our Tier 1 instruction, which should improve student engagement. But we also are going to work with the Wellington Engagement Index. This group, Mr. Plant, I believe, presented on it last year. He used their engagement index to track the engagement in the East program. So this is just an example little form. Each of those dots represents a student and asks them lots of different questions, and it plots them. So it's how entertained are they along the bottom, and then how difficult is it along the side. We want them to have something that's difficult but entertaining that they like. And so we want them to be in that engaged category. We are going to give that to all 4th, 5th, and 6th grade this year, multiple times throughout the year, so that we can see where they are. And it breaks it out by content. And we're actually working with the Wellington group to receive that for free this year. Attendance, this is just our data from last year. We're wanting to improve our attendance. We had a 95%. We really want to go above 95%, but this year we have a couple things we're changing, so we're going to see what that does. We have a bell at 8 o'clock, which is really exciting because we've never had a bell. And we also have announcements, which is also exciting, that we can actually speak to all of our students in the morning through announcements. And we've been having some discussions about different ways to have incentives for students that are at school and also that are there on time, because last year's tardies became quite a big issue. Our kids are coming 10, 15 minutes late, and while it doesn't seem like a lot of time, that adds up. And our teachers like to get started. They like to get that lunch count attendance, and they like to get started immediately. And then we also have been communicating already and will continue about attendance expectations. And then the status about sending home information, being a lot better about this year to make sure that they know when do they have 4 absences, when do they have 2 absences, and then following up with support for the families if they cannot get kids to school. With the health and wellness goal that we have, we want to address the health and wellness of our students and staff through professional development and SEL instruction for our students. Our students all have a daily advisory time, and part of the time is to be used for social emotional learning. But we have created an advisory committee this year that will be actually writing those lessons, because we can tell teachers, hey, give us, teach some SEL, but that's a whole nother thing to put on their plate. Sometimes they don't know what to do for those pieces. So we have a group that will be looking through some of the resources we already have through Navigate 360 and working with our counselor as well. But they will be creating some lesson plans that the teachers can implement in their classrooms. For our staff, we have a Sunshine Committee, which works on celebrating and supporting our staff. And then we also have some staff celebrations we use as a building. We do paper plate awards, which Dr. Roberts won one of our paper plate awards for being a lunchroom warrior. For the last week, she came and helped us with lunches as we were getting started. But we try to give out some paper plate awards, which are totally 100% made up awards, like for anything. But we present them at a staff meeting, and it's fun to get a little made up fun award. But it kind of keeps our teachers happy, and then throughout the year they'll give each other awards. And we'd eventually like to move that to students, but we're getting it through the teachers right now. To address the risk of addiction of social media and mental health and self-care, Ms. Miller is working on counselor lessons. She's already getting a lot of things scheduled out to work with our students on that. And then specifically about vaping, we actually already have someone from Arisa Health coming to talk to our kids on September the 13th to talk to our 5th and 6th graders about that. So I believe that's it for me. If you guys have any questions, I'm fast and furious with that.
Just a small agenda, it's not anything major. A couple of charts that I didn't think would show up well on the screen. So first, I would just like to thank you again for the opportunity to serve here at Arkansas Arts Academy. It is not lost on me the privilege that it is to be in this community. And so I just wanted to thank you again for that opportunity. Moving through as we go into our school improvement plan. Our academic goals, I kept most of the academic goals from last year, and we just made that kind of sync with our charter growth, the grant that we're writing. I'm so sorry, my words are gone. And so that just indicates a 5% increase over last year. So you see those top parts, very similar to last year. So this is proficiency in literacy, proficiency in math, and the numbers that we felt like were growth that we could achieve, achievable growth. The ones that I wanted to focus on as far as that would be different from last year are highlighted. And so the first of our academic goals that I wanted to highlight is the goal to have a pathway for our college and career kind of examples set up for students, especially for those that are very interested in taking college courses, AP courses before they leave high school. And so one of the, I'll have more examples for you probably in the October board meeting. We have our drafts completed, but we're not quite ready to present those. They need to be vetted through other people than just the committee, and we have a few changes to make. And so our goal is that we would increase that by 30%. And we've actually increased a lot from last year to this year. I don't have those numbers yet because we're still working on that. It's definitely an area where the growth caught up with us with procedures and kind of the way we do things. And that's one thing that we definitely have to improve is our concurrent college kind of way we roll that out. And if your child has been involved in it this year, you understand that it's been difficult. It's been an area where we definitely do not have a good setup yet. And so that is one of the big goals. And then an increase our GPA is another one. So what we have is, in order to, just kind of moving through, in order to increase the AP and concurrent college classes by 30%, what are we going to do to try to do that? First, we're going to create these pathways. We have 3 lined up for the moment, and we may add to that a little bit, but one is, what we will do is, as we go through the CAP, or the Career and Academic Planning process, we will present students with these different pathways. Starting in 7th grade, you should take, if you want to be in the 15 hours of college credit, 5 AP courses, you should take this in the 7th grade. You should take this in the 8th grade, this in the 9th. And it just lays out a plan for students and parents to look at and go, okay, that would be a good route for us. We think this could work. It'll have many on-ramps and off-ramps. So let's say that a kid starts out, doesn't even come to our school until 9th grade. Then that 7th grade, 8th grade, there would be an on-ramp for 9th grader, 10th grader coming in. And then the second one is 18 college credit hours and 5 AP courses. And then, so that would give roughly, that's 33 college hours. That's a year, basically, of college at that point. And then the third one is the equivalent to an Associate of Arts. I'm not overly concerned about the associate's degree unless it's terminal for some reason, completing at that point. What we really want is to make sure that the 60 college hours that kids get are very useful to them and none are wasted no matter what their major is. And so a lot of coaching going into what that should look like, and the pathway that they will see will give them primarily core for the state of Arkansas, so the college core for the state of Arkansas, so that no matter really what they major in, there shouldn't be any wasted courses in that 60 hours that they plan. Why this is important, obviously, if you've looked at the price of college or have a student in college, you know that this is extremely important. But secondly, with the concurrent challenge scholarship, if we're switching over to A-State, because 2 of those classes in the fall and 2 in the spring are virtually free. You have to pay to apply to A-State, and then if you have any lab fees or go beyond the 2 classes, you would have to pay for those. But even at that, they are only $40 per credit hour. Right now at the U of A, I pay just over $300 per credit hour for my child. So that's a huge savings to parents and families. The other thing is just time for students. Students can finish sooner. They can also use their challenge scholarship, the actual college challenge scholarship. If they play their cards right, they can use $5,000 of that to go towards an extended degree if they graduate in 3 years. So there are lots of reasons why this is important. And so we'll have those examples. I hope to give them to you in the October board meeting and have those lined out. And then within that, we have lined out a timeline for doing this process much earlier than last year. Our GPA goals, the other one that I wanted to focus on, is that we have made some changes to our daily schedule, in particular, moving advisory away from lunch. And this, quite a few students were a little, they kind of felt like the rug was moving a little bit when we changed that part of the schedule, even though it wasn't a huge change. It was enough change that it did bother some students. But when I explained it to the seniors, I think they really understood it. We needed to move advisory away from lunch, because when you have advisory and then lunch, or lunch and then advisory, students can only access half of the teachers at a time. So if I have advisory here, but my teacher that I need to see in a particular day has advisory here, then I can't access them. So by moving it away from the lunch period, every teacher is accessible by every student every day, if that makes sense. Now on Mondays, we are going to continue SEL. We're going to check grades every single Monday. So they will look at their grades, check them, and make their plan for the week for homework help if needed. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is homework help and enrichment. So arts teachers will primarily be running enrichment, extra opportunities for students to work on projects, to develop their musical skills, whatever that might look like. And then If students are behind in any way or just need homework help, they can access their core teachers during that time, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or sorry, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then Friday is club day. And we wanted just to put some fun back into the school day. Friday is typically the most missed school day. And so for attendance, we are also looking at, can we add more fun things in for students to participate in? And so that's kind of where that comes from. And that is student led. We've already put out a Google form for them to put out what they think, they might want. Some of them we will probably not do, but there are many that we can do that are a lot of fun. And then additionally for GPA and academic goals, we've trained 2 additional staff members for dyslexia interventions. Some of that was necessary just because we had fewer opportunities in the day to do those. So we do them during advisory, and then those the people that are trained in dyslexia are also those students' advisors. So they're helping them in multiple ways. So we thought that was appropriate for them. And then our arts integration goals, we have the expectation that each core teacher will do 2 arts integration projects, one in the fall and one in the spring. And so we have already hit the ground running. I've been watching teachers, already working through their arts integration projects. And then many of those will be showcased at the gallery, as Dr. Roberts said. And so we're working on that. One of the additions that I gave you is the rubric that we asked for Erin to create. So Erin Jones, our arts integration specialist at the high school, created this rubric. And the reason for that was a lot just the way, I was unfamiliar, to be completely honest, and needed guidelines on when I go in and look at an arts integration project, what am I looking for? What is a good practice? What are best practices? And so some of that was to help me, but we quickly realized that it helped the teachers as well really know the target they're aiming at. So we thought that was really important to give them very specific guidelines. And so with that, that's the newest part to our arts integration goals. Each high school teacher has a shared goal. Each core teacher has a shared goal of having those 2 arts integration projects, and that is a part of their evaluation this year. Arts elective pathways, the one thing that we are working on adding is very similar to last year. Basically, they have to have 8 arts classes, 2 per year, 9th through 12th grade, and then a capstone. And we are also adding internship over the course of the next 3 years. It can be portfolio, capstone, or internship. And Erin Jones and I have our first meeting this week to meet with some of our partners to talk about the opportunities that they might be able to offer our students for the way that we hope to do our internships. And that just starts with a funnel, a very giant funnel with a tour. Students go tour the area. We ask the students that tour, is anybody really interested in maybe job shadowing and seeing what opportunities are available at this, in this case, downtown Rogers at the museum. And then the kids that really like that, would they be interested in applying for an internship? We'll source those internships ahead of time. So our hope is that at the start of next school year, we have, I can't tell you how many, but some internships at each of our partnerships to help our students choose from. Those internships in that case are competitive. They're hired like a job. And so they have to go through the process of the tour, the job shadow, and then apply for the internship. So it's a good process for students to experience regardless of the outcome. I hope that over time we can have many, many internships. In traditional public schools, most of the time students source their own internships. And so this is a little bit different model. And that will make it more limited. We will definitely have the opportunity for them to source their own as well, and perhaps with parents' help and things like that. And then we'll broaden that beyond the arts as we go a little further down the road. We want to have those pathways established and those opportunities established before we open it up to other CTE pathway internships. Student engagement, and this is the other document you had, and I just thought you might want to look at it. We are currently working on a walkthrough tool that focuses on engagement. This is twofold in the reasoning. Number one, engagement is obviously the most important way to tell or to help learning. Whenever students are engaged in the classroom, we know that learning is taking place. The second thing is that it gives me the first semester to really get into classrooms and establish kind of where are we at? What time is it at Arkansas Arts Academy when referencing just where we're at in our core instruction, in curriculum, in teaching skills, all those things. And I just need to get in there and see it. And Dr. Langley and I together have already started on our walkthroughs. We'll develop this tool. It should be finished in the next couple of weeks, and then we will roll that out to teachers so they know exactly what we're looking for. And by doing this, it's a very, it's a pretty easy target to hit for teachers in a new situation with a new boss, so to speak. And so we're just going to be looking for primarily on the front end behavioral, like what are students doing? Are they asking and answering questions? You know, attendance, are they in class? Are they paying attention? And we can make that pretty easy to see. But beyond that, we go to the cognitive, dimension of engagement, as well as the kind of emotional investment that they are. And so we can do those two things, but early on, the easiest to see is what's happening in the class and behavioral. So we have a place we're going with that for engagement. That's the biggest difference probably from last year to this year for engagement in the classroom. And then for attendance, our goal is 90%. And I don't have our attendance data because, just to be completely honest, I waited too long to put it together. And when I started looking at it, I realized that it's very difficult to calculate it because it's on A days, B days, and it's calculated by individual class periods. So that is on me, and it is a failure, just to get that to started in time. So I'll try to present that to you at a later time, and then maybe at the next school board meeting, I could circle back in my report. And so it's a little bit difficult to do that, but I will get that figured out and see where we're at. But secondly, just to increase attendance, the things that we're focused on are a few things that are really that fun related type things. We want to increase engagement in coming to school, Fridays again for clubs, and then also full performances during the school day. So our first opportunity for that will be our musical, and just having all our kids be able to go watch the musical and watch their peers. I want to use that potentially as their first run through so that they have a full dress rehearsal and then a full performance for the student body before we take it out for the parents to see, so to speak. And so I think that when kids know they have that fun thing going on in the afternoon, they're more likely to be here. And then we'll start probably second semester after our fall break in some lunch performances. And those will be shorter performances, smaller kind of settings, and then also getting some kids that maybe aren't in that particular art, for example, just doing some singing and some, different things like that, lunchapalooza type stuff, just fun things at lunch for kids to perform that may not even be like in choir or musical theater, but they're really good singers because we have those kids and their main interest is something else. So just things like that to help improve attendance. A few other things that we have got to work on are really just our systems. We really ran into this with our concurrent credit. Our system is just not really in place. And so that's one example of where our systems have to get better. Our timelines have to get better. And so just one example is career and academic planning. I have it planned to start that in February, which means we will be updating all of our courses and everything in December and January. February, going through and doing a setup where kids get to go through and see all the arts, everything they can do, bringing sixth graders over for them to see everything that's offered. And then early February doing that, possibly at parent-teacher conferences in February, doing our CAP planning. If not, then bringing them back for those meetings in March where parents get to sit at the table with the CAP advisor, the student's advisor, go through what the plan is, go through their student success plan, and then make that plan together, bringing everybody at the table. And so at the latest that we want to do that is before spring break, but February is kind of our maybe goal, but that's a very aggressive goal. So just saying that. And then making some other changes. So that whole setup has to get better for us to get better in the process and to make sure that we, are really meeting the needs of students and they have plenty of time to think through and process and develop their plan and then choose their classes. Because another change is schedule changes. I think we want to change from schedule changes to schedule corrections. If we do a good job in February and March of academic planning, then I feel like that we don't have to do this if I have room in the class, you can just change and switch out after they find out where their friends are and what they're doing and all of that. Because our schedule is very, very tight. We've trimmed staff. We're running a very lean staff right now, which is good and right. And that is what we need to do. But to do that, we can't switch kids as much as they want to switch. So we have to do a better job on the front end of choices. And then I feel like that as we, the adults, set up systems that work well for kids, then they'll make better choices and we can change to a system that really is scheduled corrections. And corrections come whenever, an example would be if a late departure of a teacher, and for some reason we have to change something around, we can make a correction based on that. We can make corrections based on holes because the class that I need lines up to, AP chemistry, and I can't do both, and so we have to make a correction. And that is the final for mine. I do want to just talk just a brief moment, because I know it's getting late, about the start of school. I feel like that at the high school, we had a tremendous start. I personally don't know years past how it went or what it looked like, but from what teachers have told me and what I'm hearing from parents, it was a smooth start. It was a good start. We feel like kids are happier coming in. According to the staff, a lot of them said it was really the smoothest start in years. And so we're very proud of that. We're proud that kids are smiling, they're happy. We're seeing them have good conversations at lunch. One, thing that is, rolling out is we've had kind of a soft start to our unplugging. I've been giving warnings today. I probably warned 10 kids in the cafeteria, you can't have your phone in here, you need to put it away. Starting next week, that will change. And I have a communication ready to go out to parents regarding that. This is what the policy is, and this is what will be enforced. And there really aren't going to be a lot of exceptions to that. So far, we've been giving a time at the beginning of fourth period for them to check their phones to make sure their ride was secured and everything was okay, and then they had to put it back away, giving lots of warnings. But that is going to change starting next week on Wednesday when we come back. And so we're trying to give everybody fair warning. It's not a game of gotcha. It's not anything like that. But you saw the evidence of what our counselors, are showing us. And we feel like that this is a valid and important step for us to take. And so I want to make sure we do it the right way where no one's caught off guard. But at the same time, we're going to roll with it and see what happens. So I want you to be aware of that because I'm sure there will be some complaints probably. So. But you understand it more now. I hope to have some opportunities for parents to come and hear their presentation so that they can also understand the data behind the decision. So, do you guys have any questions for me?
I was just going to sort of connect what you said about Fun Fridays and performances and play back to the anxious generation where, children are losing that ability to play. And so have built back in the day those age appropriate play activities that will help with some of that, hopefully help with some of that connectedness and feeling a sense of belonging here at the school community. So I really appreciate the intentionality there. I also appreciate the opportunity for parents to come hear that great presentation, because I think as much as the kids might be annoyed, it's really educating parents about how they can help support their students. And it will be an adjustment, but we've all been through lots of adjustments.
Right.
Come out happier on the other side. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any items since the publication of the agenda that we need to discuss? Okay. I want to first thank you all for staying with us and hanging out here for this evening. We appreciate it. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, thanks.